I was in London in 2017, and I listened to your Wigmore recital.
Okay.
Yeah, you played the French Suite number in G major. It was really wonderful. So many houses around the world, right? How many places do you own a house?
Well, I have 3 countries: Canada, Ottawa, Canada, London, and Italy.
Italy. And so do you spend like 1/3 of the year each?
No, because of course I'm touring most of the time. Most of my life I'm touring. But whenever I London is my main base. It's my smallest place, but that's where I have my main base and my clothes and my records and books and pay my taxes and Canada is where I have all my history, my family stuff, my first piano, my everything that I have left from my childhood. But anyway, it's in Ottawa where I grew up, and then Italy is sort of my retreat, my luxury retreat. I have a house, a freestanding house overlooking Lake Trasimeno, and so whenever I can, I go there. Yeah.
So do you own like I know you play a lot of Fazioli piano these days. Do you own like a Steinway, a Yamaha, different maker in each house?
In this house, you can see I have that's my London flat. I have a small Fazioli 183, but which is certainly big enough for the room, which I've had for 23 years.
Oh.
It's a lovely piano. And then in Italy, I have my concert grand piano in my house there.
It is Fazioli also?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh.
Fazioli there. And then in Canada, I have a Yamaha.
I see.
Yamaha C.
And now most of the time you play Fazioli, right?
I can, yes, when there's one.
Yes. So you like the tonality of the Fazioli, especially for Bach, or what is your impression about it?
For all repertoire, it depends, but the one I have is suitable really for all repertoire. Has a wonderful, noble sound, but all the action is very good. One doesn't have to force. It does anything you want it to. So I feel very fortunate to have such a wonderful piano at my disposition. Yeah, but I like the fact that even on this small one you see behind me, I can practice for 6-7 hours a day, and I don't get physically tired like I would on many other pianos where you have to put a lot more weight in the key. And so that's not good for the arms and shoulders, when you're practicing a lot. And so it's great. I love the Fazioli piano. Really.
So the touch is a bit lighter, do you mean? Or you can control more the escapement?
It is a bit more, it is lighter and more fluid. And so you can do more, but with less effort.
Yeah. The only time actually I used the Fazioli also was once I played in Italy, and they rented me the Fazioli. So I played in the garden, and so it was very, very lovely, and the tonality was very bright. That was my impression.
That's something that can be changed by a technician. Yeah, if it's too bright, then it can be changed. If it's not bright enough, this is unusual with Fazioli, but it does have a very clear sound, and I mean my piano is bright, but it still has, as I say, a very noble sound, very round sound, and it's not harsh. And so, but what I like about it is that you can play very lightly and very rapidly without force, but it still has sparkle,
Yeah. Do you always have the same tuner when you're touring?
No.
Oh.
No, of course not. Who would pay for that?
But I said maybe for you, they would pay for that.
No, of course not. No. But I mean, some people think I take my Fazioli piano all around the world with me. No, I rely on the dealers.
I see.
The one that I have in Italy, I do take it for recording. I might take it up for Germany where I record, because my recording team is German. And I have a German tuner out there who does.
I see.
So no, but I rely on the technicians around the world, and there are many who are specialized in dealing with Faziolis who have trained at Fazioli also. So that's here in Japan you have a wonderful technician, Oji-san, and so he really knows what to do with the pianos. Yes.
Oh, actually, I listened to so many of your YouTube, and I was also this morning I listened to the Gojes, the Granados, the 12 Spanish dances.
All right.
And then Pelele. And I didn't know that you had this recording. It was very, very enjoyable. It was wonderful.
Yeah, it's very old. I did it in 1986, I think. 1986, 1987. Yeah, I think so. Just after I won the Bach competition. And for CBC Records, which doesn't exist anymore, unfortunately.
Oh.
But yes, that was done on a Steinway in the Glenn Gould studio in CBC Toronto. But I love that repertoire. Yes, and my teacher Jean-Paul Sevilla in Ottawa he was French, born in Algeria, but of Spanish blood, and so he loved the Spanish music and gave me an introduction to that. So.
Yes, because actually I lived in Spain, and I had my background in Spain, so I didn't know that you did this recording, but it was really wonderful. And Guillermo Gonzalez, the pianist, he studied with also John Paul Sevilla.
That's right, Guillermo.
Yeah, he's a friend of mine, and so he was in the Royal Conservatory. And I was very interested about this teacher, Jean Paul Sevilla. He's not that known in Japan, but I read about him as a very inspiring mentor for this young pianist. And I also read. I heard the interview that he really gave you a big influence on your musical education.
Yes, he was a wonderful teacher, and not just when I was just turned 15 years old, I did many summers. He used to take his students to Aix-en-Provence. We're talking about the mid 1970s now. When the festival was not the sort of luxury item it is now, but we went to, there were marvelous concerts. What I mean by that is that the tickets were cheap, and so we went to hear all the great artists. He took us to hear Richter and Montserrat Caballé and John Vickers and Birgit Nielsen and Böhm and Ara. We heard everybody play in the Aix-en-Provence Festival and all the festivals in Provence at the time, and we went sightseeing, and we had piano lessons every day, except on the weekend when we went to the beach. So he was a great teacher in that he didn't just teach the notes and how to play the piano. I mean, he was wonderful at that, but he gave his students a real love of life and of all the different arts and appreciation of them and knowledge of them and food and so he was a very special teacher in that way. Yes.
Oh yeah. So do you also have Albanese repertoire? Albanese?
Yes, I played the second book of the one with Triana Rondegna, but I haven't played that for years. But I used to play the second book quite often, and then I played all the Suite Espagnole. Suite.
Yes. Oh, I see. Yes, because now I'm reading the book about Alberto Guerrero.
Oh yeah.
Written by this John Beckwith.
Beckwith, I have it at home. Yes,
and it was very interesting because what Guerrero was saying about that, what he didn't like about it, like only Polish people would play the Chopin best. It's not true, and so when I was remembering that, and then when I heard this Granados, that was really, your rhythm is so bright and like very Latin. So really, that means that the nationality doesn't matter at all.
What matters the more is that I was a dancer. I started ballet at the age of 3, and the same age as I did piano. So for me, music is always an expression of movement,
yes,
of dance movements, and of course these are all dances, Spanish dances. So that's one reason why I love the Spanish music, is for these dance rhythms. And
it's true. So also, do you still dance? I mean.
Yeah, I prance around the room. I mean, I don't go to class anymore, but I danced very seriously. My teacher in Ottawa, Nesta Tumine, had danced with the Ballet Russe de Monte Carlo. She knew all the original choreography to like Nutcracker, to all the big ballets, Coppelia. We did them all, and so she was a wonderful teacher, and I got, I think, a lot of my discipline from her, and strength and stamina, and ballet gives you so much when you start it right so young. And And so, so it was, as I say, for me, all music, Bach is 95% dance music, clear from all the dance rhythms that he uses. So I just love bringing music alive with that feeling of dance. And I do feel very strongly that anyone studying an instrument, be it piano or violin or whatever, that they really need to learn to sing and to dance, and then they would play much better. Because first of all, if you can't sing beautiful melodies in a nice shapely fashion, you'll never be able to play them on the piano. Just like if you can't feel movement with your body, you'll never feel the movement while playing the piano. Yeah, so there are a lot of pianists I would like to take aside and teach them how to sing and dance.
It's true, yes. One of the YouTube, I think it was when you're like maybe teenager, maybe in a competition, I think you're playing a Chopin Nocturne, but you were very, actually very, your posture was like a ballerina. Yeah, with a red dress, red and red pink, and I think
dress that I made myself.
Oh, yourself, not your mother?
I sewed it. No, I made it myself. I used to sew a lot.
Oh, how old were you? 16, 15?
Oh, in that competition, I was 22. But when my teenage years, I used to make a lot of clothes.
And you designed the dress, and also you dressed
up. Yeah.
Oh, I see.
Sewing.
So you like sewing, and also do you use knitting and patchwork?
But didn't have the patience for knitting. No, but I used to like to sew. Well, I did ballet, I did Highland dancing, which is Scottish dancing. My mother's family.
Oh, actually, I used to do Scottish dancing at school too.
Hey, there you go.
Yeah.
And I did a bit of gymnastics, and I would bicycle everywhere, and I played baseball and football, and with my friends, and skated. I used to like skating a lot.
Oh.
This is all besides school and all the other.
That's why your body is expressive with the dance and also music, the same thing.
Yeah.
And actually, also you knew Mr. Guerrero's wife, what's her name, Myrtle Rose?
Yeah, Myrtle Rose Guerrero. Yeah, she was my teacher in Toronto for a few years. Yeah.
Oh, she's the second wife of Mr. Guerrero, right?
Exactly.
And she's a pedagogist, she's a musician and pianist.
She was, yeah, she's dead now. But yes, she was. Yeah. I mean, she taught me from the age of 12 to 15.
Oh, and did you meet Mr. Guerrero?
No, he
was.
I
see. And how was this Miss Guerrero? She had a lot of influence from her husband.
I must say, I mean, I was very fond of her, but she didn't sit down and play a lot.
Oh, I see.
Contrary to Mr. Sevilla, who I had later, who could sit down and play anything. Well, the Liszt Sonata, this, that, everything. And even if he didn't know it, he played it. Whereas Mrs. Guerrero played very little. But she concentrated a lot on touch and colors and form. And so I can't say that I feel that I learned huge amounts from her, but I think what she did very well was let me develop my tastes, which were for Bach. We did a lot of Bach together, and she introduced me more to the Romantic composers, because before that, and which I think was right actually, my parents and my early teachers, although I had a good technique, but a good pianist is formed by playing the Baroque and the classics, and then the moderns, like Kavalevsky and whatever, in those Shostakovich in my day. Canadian music, whatever, but not by playing Chopin or Schumann when you're, except for the album for the young or whatever, but when you're emotionally not mature, when you're 11 years old, because these days I see kids who are 11 years old playing all the Chopin etudes already.
Oh, yeah, I know what you
Well, the etudes, okay, but even, the other pieces like nocturnes and stuff, I don't feel that, I think you need to wait.
Yes, exactly.
You really need to wait to be emotionally ready, and also not to learn, and also physically, you're not really developed to play this music yet. And you force your hands into positions that, you need to cultivate a good hand position and good habits at the keyboard. And so
she's a Canadian? She's from Canada?
Yeah, she was Canadian.
Oh, I see. Oh.
She was Canadian. She was a student of Alberta.
Oh, I see. Yeah, so she was much younger than I I read in the biography that she had a first child when she was 43.
I guess so. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, she did. There was. Yeah.
Oh, I see. Oh, because I was very interested with Mr. Guerrero because he was a teacher of Glenn Gould. And actually, when I was 15, I visited Canada and I went to see Mr. Gould.
Okay.
And luckily, I met him at his apartment.
Right.
And I got a very nice message from his manager, Ray Roberts. So I had a special memories about Mr. Gould. That's why I was interested about his teacher. But it seems like sometimes Glenn Gould was in an interview, he wouldn't say good thing about Mr. Guerrero. At the contrary, sometimes.
Yeah, I know, which was not fair, I must say. Because a lot of his repertoire ideas, like that early music he did, Bird.
Yes, Gibbons.
That came from Alberto Guerrero. And in fact, it's very touching. A friend died the other day who had been a very close friend. In fact, I think he was the executor of her will of Myrtle Guerrero. And the wife of this friend sent me 2 volumes of early keyboard music, which were given to Mr. Guerrero from some lady, but they were bound. They were bound, and they had Guerrero written in the binding. You know, they were his copies anyway, because this friend of mine who died, had got a lot of Alberto Guerrero's music through Myrtle, and so she passed these volumes on to me. But yes, Gould, you know, he liked people to think that they were his ideas, but in fact that, and also the Schoenberg and the Berg, you know, Alberto Guerrero had led him in that direction. But yeah, I wrote about this. I once wrote a review for the Times Literary Supplement on the biography of Glenn Gould by Kevin Bazana. And I mentioned that in there, that because I think Kevin mentioned this in his book, that Gould didn't really ever give enough credit to Alberto Guerrero. Although, you know, as Myrtle Guerrero did say to me once, he wasn't really teachable. You know, you couldn't really teach Glenn Gould. He was always his own person.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm sure Mr. Guerrero did influence him, but Gould was always going to be his own person. Yes.
Yes, yeah. He's like the articulation, the tapping. Some people say it really came from Mr. Guerrero's technique.
Yeah, because Myrtle used to go on about that. Yeah.
Yeah. And what do you think about this tapping technique?
I never went in for that very much, I must say. I didn't quite understand that. Yeah. But anyway, that she taught that, and that definitely came from him. Yeah.
Oh, I see. Yeah, maybe I would agree. Maybe with like a Baroque music, but I think it will be difficult to play those articulation for romantic pieces.
Of course, yeah. No. Anyway, as I said, she introduced me to a lot of interesting repertoire. She let me play as much Bach as I wanted, and she certainly didn't. She didn't reverse anything, you know. She just encouraged, and that was good. And then I went to Mr. Sevilla, but that was sort of another world because, as I said, he just sat down and played everything, and I didn't know that the piano could be played with so much passion, you know.
Oh yes, I saw some of his YouTube playing Mozart, very, very musical, very, very artistic.
The recordings that are there don't really represent him very well. But those of us who heard him play things like the Liszt Sonata, I heard many people play the Liszt Sonata before he played it, and I always thought it was a terrible piece. And then I heard him play it, and I thought it was the most piece ever written. So he played with a great deal of passion and musicality and color and excitement and lyricism, and always a beautiful sound, even in the most loudest passages. Always a beautiful sound. And this, I hope I picked up from him, because, you know, we hear so much harsh and just not very nice sounding playing these days. Well, we always have, but he had this beautiful sound that used all the weight of the arm. And
was he a big man? Is he a big man?
Yeah, not so much tall, but
I see. Oh, I see. And I'm talking about Bach. What do you think about some people? Example, if you play the Well-Tempered Clavier, Volume 1, Volume 2, some people play like, let's say, picking up like 1 or 3 pieces from the Well-Tempered Clavier, and also like French Suite, picking up like Sarabande, Bulle, some picking up this, playing separately. What do you think about this? It does.
Well, those two cases are a little different. I mean, Bach didn't expect people to play the whole Well-Tempered Clavier at once, although they did. I'm soon in a few weeks playing, because God help me, playing Book 2 all again in Leipzig. But, that's 3 hours of music or 2.5 hours of music. So playing just a few preludes and fugues, of course, this is with the French suites, I find that a bit more difficult because, the suite hangs together.
That's it.
It's really one piece. It's not, of course, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine to learn one or two movements, especially when you're younger. In fact, you should probably, before, this is a mistake that many people make. They approach the preludes and fugues too soon when they don't have any idea of dance rhythms and they don't have any idea of how to play cleanly in 2 parts. I mean, you can't play in 4 parts unless you can play well in 2 parts. And Bach was very clear about that. That's why he wrote the 2-part inventions and the 3-part inventions. And then, then you can get into the preludes and fugues. But some of the easier dance movements, yes, like the gavottes and the bourrées and okay, the sarabands from the French suites are very useful for young pianists or amateurs to get to know the proper style for these dances, which are also found in the Well-Tempered Clavier. The Well-Tempered Clavier is full of dances, gavottes and bourrées and jigs and sarabands, and so that's fine. But I mean, in a masterclass situation, although I know that it sometimes depends on time, but I always like it if the student at least comes with the whole suite learned rather than just 2 movements, they haven't yet got a feeling for the whole piece, which when you play a partita, it's very important to have a feeling of the arc of the piece from the first note right to the end. Yeah, very important.
And I also liked every time when I hear the trills of this Bach, the trill has such a sound when you're playing any pieces of Bach. The trills, that has such a lovely character that you play every wonderful, different trills but different expressions. I admire that very much.
Of the piece, yeah. The lively piece, the trills have to be more lively, and if it's expressive, then they have to, be slower and more in keeping with the expression. Yeah.
And I thought, what do you think about the Wanderlandowska, Rosalind Turek as a?
Well, of course, I grew up listening to the Well-Tempered Clavier of Rosalind Turek on LP. That's what was available in those days, and always, you always certainly heard the structure of everything. Everything was so clearly done, and Landowska, I've enjoyed especially her writings on Bach, which I think are so vivid and very important to read. She's a wonderful writer. Even as I say, when I was a child and until Gould came around, there really were not very many people at all that played Bach on the piano. So it was, with all these people, it's very important to listen and learn, and then you take what you want and develop your own style.
And now, thanks to you, I think a lot of people are now feeling near to Bach and the love for the Bach, which is really important, I think. Which is the principle for the music, I think.
I think, especially with this Bach Odyssey, which finishes in Tokyo tomorrow night, playing the complete works of Bach in 12 recitals around the world. It's music that speaks to everyone, no matter the country. It really is a language, a very special language.
Which piece is your favorite? Which is your favorite, and which piece of Bach do you think was the most difficult to interpret on piano?
I suppose the Goldberg I would have to say is my favorite, because it is just such a wonderful experience as a whole. It's just it's a work of genius and so beautifully constructed, expressive, and the most difficult, I suppose, was what I'm playing tomorrow, the Art of Fugue. Yeah, because it's not written. I mean, it's possible, as C.P. Bach wrote, the son. It's possible to play it on the keyboard, but it's not written as a keyboard piece. It's not pianistic like the Goldberg variations. So it's possible, but it's really he wrote it in open scores, so that's why it can be played by a quartet, by whatever. But it's very dense, and of course it's all in the one key, unlike the well-tempered clavier. So you really have to find the character of each contrapunctus and bring this out so that it's not, if you play them all the same, it's pretty boring. But it's great stuff, and it very difficult for the fingering. It's not so hard to play if you play it vertically, but if you start taking every voice in turn, which is what I do always, you start taking every voice in turn and articulating every voice the way it should be articulated, and writing all that in, and then finding out what the fingering is to match the articulation, it's a whole different story. Yeah, a whole different story from playing it like all sort of detached and staccato and playing it down, which a lot of people do because they don't want to do the work that's involved in it. But I really, when I learned it, I sang through every voice. I marked in the breathing spots, the articulation, and then I've got to find a fingering that allows me to do that.
So do you like all the writing and the fingerings you write?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. In some of the YouTube, I saw sometimes you use iPad as
or something complicated that
So where do you have to touch the iPad? Where you have to turn the page?
No, I do it with my foot.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, but there's a foot pedal that works by Bluetooth.
Oh, I see. So when you get used to it, is it very simple?
When you get used to it, it's very simple. It's very effective. Yeah, you can turn in the split second that you want the page to turn. I use an app called Fourscore, which is quite I was one of the first people to use iPad because I used it when I started learning the art of fugue, which was back in 2012. And in 2012, very few people were using the iPad, but I was one of the first, and because I didn't want anyone sitting beside me when I was going to be playing the art of fugue. There was no way I wanted a page turn.
Yes.
No, it's great because you can turn right at the second you want. It goes in a flash. And, I'm quite agile with my feet, having been a dancer. So, it takes some practice because, of course, in Bach, I don't use much pedal, but I play all different composers, of course, with this. And so, I have the three pedals of the piano and then the back and forward on the box for the turning the pages. But it's great. Yeah, I use an iPad Pro on which I don't have anything else, only scores, So, and I'm always make sure I walk out on stage with it fully charged, and those kind of things. But so far, I've had no problems, so it's great.
Yeah. And how is your eyesight? Because I have actually my contact lenses, but every time I practice Bach, my eyes get so tired, comparing to other composers.
Yeah, well, it's true. Yeah, it's true. But it's it's tiring for the brain, very tiring for the brain. But I think my brain has, I've lost the opportunity now, but I should really have had my brain measured before I memorized the complete works of Bach, which I did.
Wow, that's something. Yeah.
See how it had changed, because I do know now that since I'm so used to thinking of music horizontally, that when I learn any other composer, Beethoven, Schumann, whatever it may be, I also think that way. And actually it has many advantages, especially with Beethoven, I find, when you're doing the Beethoven sonatas. And he wrote so much counterpoint, and if you think of the music also that way and do this same work of very careful fingering and articulation and not clouding everything over with pedal, pedal of course you use, but you need to work it out first without the pedal and then you add the pedal. It really has huge benefits, and so, but I see that my mind works that way now. It just does. It's how I learn. I have to learn music horizontally.
Yeah. And apart from, I'm sure you don't have time to be away from the piano, but when you have time to be away from the piano, what to make you happy? Like, do you have any hobby to be away from the piano?
Well, I see my friends. I go to the theater. Obviously in lockdown, I wasn't able to go to the theater. But yeah, I cook for myself. I live alone, but I make sure I cook 3 good meals a day.
Oh, what kind of cooking? What kind of do you like Italian, or what kind of national food do you like?
I can't eat wheat flour, so
I see.
I do make pasta, but I make it with rice pasta or gluten-free pasta. Yeah. But I make Italian food. I make lots of rice dishes, and I eat well, I think, but I don't eat wheat. I don't eat a lot of dairy, and I try to avoid sugar.
Is it because you have an allergy for the wheat, or you don't like the wheat?
I have an intolerance to wheat. So when I changed my life when I hit 40, that was over 20 years ago, and I feel so much better since getting.
I see. So maybe in Japan, some people make like a rice wheat.
Rice.
The rice, and it's very also very healthy, especially for Japanese people.
Sure.
Yeah, because we don't really need to eat bread. We have rice and like a soya beans, which is very healthy.
Yeah.
Do you like Japanese food? What is your favorite?
I do, but you see, I can't have soya sauce because soya sauce has wheat in it. So
I see. That's right.
I have to avoid that. But so I'm usually going for just some plain rice dishes, but I like the yakitori, which I had the other night in Kanazawa. That was very good.
Kanazawa is such a beautiful country. Yeah, beautiful place. Yeah.
Anyway, good.
Yeah. So, in the end, do you have any messages for this young pianist who is learning piano, wanting to be a pianist? Any advice?
Well, always enjoy what you're doing. You know, I see a lot of kids who very, very young are doing like 4 or 5 hours a day when they're 6, 7 years old, which, you need to be a child. You need to do different things, even if you're super gifted. You're only a child once. So I think, I always remember once I was teaching a master class at the Purcell School in London, which is very well known.
Yes, I was going to go there, actually.
Okay, and a kid asked me, he said, I try to do 7 hours a day, but after 4, I really don't enjoy it. I said, well, stop, don't do more than 4, even 4. If he's doing that every day, that's okay. That's a lot. Go and read a book, go and talk with friends, go for a walk, go and do, watch a film, do something else. It's so important. And I'm just glad that I had a childhood where I did so many different things, and was very active physically as well. So, because then later on, in life, you specialize more and more as you get older, it seems to me. So there's lots of time for that, but childhood comes only once. So I think you really have to enjoy it. And for those who have a passion for it, they will make music their life, I think. I guess what I'm saying is that the whole I've got to be a concert pianist side, that's for very few people.
It's true.
Very few people make it to the top. And if you don't, it doesn't matter, but at least you will have music in your life.
Yeah. Actually, I see a Japanese doll next to your piano.
Yeah, there are 2. There's one, and then there's one you maybe do. Anyway, there are 2. And those Japanese dolls have a story because I first came to Japan in December of 1988. My first tour here, and I played, among other places, I played at the Bukankaikan in Tokyo, and I played in Kyoto, and I played in a private home of a certain man. And among other things, then when I got home, he presented me, that's right, when I was there with these 2 dolls, they're huge.
Yeah, I can only see the one right.
That's the male one, and
the male, yeah.
The female one's in the other corner of my
I see.
And they sit there, and I see them every day. Yeah, so that's a nice reminder. In fact, the poster that on the wall that was near.
On the right and the left.
That's from that tour, from my first tour of Japan.
I see. It's like it's a black and white.
Yeah, black and white. I have a little Japanese corner there.
I see. Well, wonderful. So thank you very much, Miss Hewitt. I hope to see you again.
Okay.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.